Hi there and welcome to today, which is the first day of the UK's second lockdown. So here we are. It's an interesting one, isn't it? And I decided that on reflecting on the first lockdown, that I was going to do something a little bit different this time round. So last time round, what I found was there was a lot of businesses and a lot of salespeople that I were working with. They were having to find new ways of working, new conversations they had to have. They were having to they were having to change their approach. They were having to access people in different ways. They're having to work from home. They were having to work on their own. They were having to work away from their teams. They were having to work and motivate themselves every single day. They were having to come up with new strategies, new ideas, and they were having to turn on a sixpence. So I know from the businesses I worked with last time round that probably that's exactly what people are going to be having to do this time round, finding new ideas, new ways to innovate, new ways to be successful in their sales approach. So today and across this lockdown at 9 a.m, you will find me here live giving the morning sales step up. And this is hints, ideas, tips, and a little bit of inspiration to get you excited about stepping your sales up for the day. So my name is Victoria Fleming. I am a sales trainer and consultant, and I work with ambitious businesses who want to scale their sales and make more money. So let's get straight to it. Every morning we'll be here for about 10 to 15 minutes. That's myself and of course Pirate Pete, who will be keeping us to time for some short, sharp sales skills and sales inspiration. So let's get going. I'm going to start by setting 10 minutes onto Pirate Pete. This is great. It keeps us to time and it makes sure that we can take the very best in the day and then get going. So let's get to it. I did say that we were going to talk about 7 secrets to set up your day for sales success today. And these are all things that I have basically stolen from the very best salespeople that I know and that I've worked with. So you can take all their great ideas and apply them immediately to your own approach. So let's start at the very beginning. The very best salespeople start by making a plan. And that's actually so that across the day, they know what they'll be doing when, how they'll be doing it, and who they'll be doing it with. Now, sometimes that's really easy because we've got meetings or appointments in our diaries. So that already gives us the outline of a plan. But often what we don't put in our plan is the other stuff. I think a great example of this is stuff like email. It's a constant interruption and distraction on our day, when really what we could do is we could actually package that up and say, you know what, I'm going to pick up and deal with that just at these 3 points in the day as part of my plan. The other thing is that quite often we've got such a big pile of stuff to do that we just think, well, I'm going to do that stuff. And what that really means is that we never get to the bottom of that pile. And quite often we end up getting distracted by things that aren't actually that important. So think about what you want to spend your time on. Think about making a plan. Think about actually putting that work into little blocks that you can actually fit into a schedule. So that is my first tip. The very best salespeople will do. They'll start by making a plan. If you're joining me as well, I would love to know your hints and tips. So say hello, drop me a line in the comments. I would love to be able to do that. Okay, so the second thing to do is to set some targets. Now, this might sound really self-explanatory. You might be like, look, Victoria, I've already got targets coming out my ears. I don't need another one. The likelihood is your target is quite often a financial target, or maybe a meetings target or something like that. But it's generally set across a month or a quarter. For that reason, it can quite often seem super unachievable because let's be honest, it's not as if you make one phone call or have one meeting and sell on the back of it. Quite often sales, it's a process. So you need multiple interactions, multiple conversations before you get that sale over the line. So for that reason, I would really suggest that you think about setting daily targets. And this might include not just revenue or maybe sales, which is great, but it's also likely to include things like the number of calls that you've made, the number of contacts or conversations that you've had, the number of proposals that you've sent. It could be any of these things. Think about the metrics that you work to on a day-to-day basis. How can you make these work for you? And actually, how can you turn that into a target for the day? I think this is great because it illustrates not only are you working towards that overall target and your overall sales success, but actually the other thing that you're doing is you are actually ensuring that the work that you're doing is being reflected across and being done on a daily basis. So you can continue to get that real feeling of success and knowing that you've done the right thing to get to that target achievement at the end of the period. So that's my second tip. Okay, here is my third one. Coming straight in with both of those is point number 3. It's about batching. I've already referenced how you might actually want to slip your email into 1 or 2 defined points in the day. But what about the kind of calls that you're going to make? I think this is really important as well, because across a day, you might be making prospect calls. You might be writing some proposals. You might be having meetings. Thinking about where you slot these in a day and batching them together is a really good idea. The reason for this is that you get into a rhythm. It also means that you can fit this work around your energy. So, for example, if you're going to do a lot of prospect calling, I would quite often say to people, look, when is your energy highest? And if it's in the morning, which for a lot of people it is, then why not do those prospect calls straight away in the morning and get really excited about actually doing those before you get on to anything else in your diary. It also speaks back to those targets as well. Once you've got a plan and you've got some batch stuff in there, you can set some mini targets. You can say, okay, well, across that 2 hours, I'm going to make prospect calls. My target is to make, 30 calls or whatever it might be. And of those, my target is to get to speak to the decision maker on 10 of those or whatever it might be. That's a great way of setting a little mini target for the day, while also ensuring that you're giving yourself the very best chance of success by getting into a flow with the actual calls that you're making. All right, let's look at tip number 4. Okay, I'm going to run out of fingers soon enough. This is what happens. Okay, so tip number 4 is all about taking a break. If you're batching, a great idea is at the end of any period of what you're doing is to actually go and take a break. I think it's really important, especially in sales. It can be quite pressured, quite fast moving. You know what? There can be times we just need to go and take a breath. And we need to allow ourselves to do this. So if you have just spent a couple of hours on the phone prospect calling, it's really easy just to sit back and get straight into your emails. Actually, why not just go and have a wander, go and get yourself a cup of tea, go and have a breath of fresh air, go and look out the window for a few minutes. It's a great way of actually resetting your brain and actually getting ready to move back to the next piece of work, which potentially is a different type of work. So it might be sitting down at your desk rather than, sitting on the phone. Whatever it is, taking a break can help you differentiate and actually drive success. All right, we are up to number 5. All right, now 5 is something that all the very best salespeople do. And this is that they are conscious. So what's that really mean? Well, what it means is if you have a fantastic conversation, when you finish that conversation, it's being conscious that actually it was fantastic. Why was it fantastic? What made it fantastic? And actually identifying what it was that made the difference for you. That's really important because what it actually allows you to do is implement those same things that made you successful that time round on your next call. And you know what? Similarly, if it wasn't such a great conversation, what was it that you could do differently next time? What can you change to get a different result? And I think this is super important because especially if you're making a number of calls one after the other, you can get into like a little pattern. And if that pattern isn't working for you, then actually you're just wasting your time. So it's a great idea to think if you're not getting the results that you want or the call hasn't gone the way that you would like it to, just take a moment and reflect. Be conscious. What could you do differently next time? We are flying through now. We are hitting point number 6. That's right, like all of the numbers. And this is about thinking outside of the box, or more importantly, thinking outside of hours. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, it's an interesting one at the moment now we're in lockdown because I think we're all being a bit more flexible with our work approach. But actually, quite often people are in meetings from 9 till 5. And I think even more so now. I mean, we're never off Zoom or Teams or all those other things that we're all on. You can't get away from the things. So actually, if you are in meetings all day, when have you got the time to talk to that person on the other end of the phone? Well, it might be the quick phone call before 9, just before this session, or alternatively, a quick call just after 5 can quite often be a really good time to catch people when they're actually back at their desks or actually just taking a moment to wrap up their admin before they close their computers for the day. So have a little think. What about out of hours? What about lunchtime? What about those times where, yes, people might not be at their desks, but if they are, they might actually have that few minutes to have the conversation you're looking for with them. So be innovative and think about some different times that you could approach people. The other thing is to think about some different ways to approach people. I think increasingly in lockdown, people are using social media such as LinkedIn more and more. So are there other ways that you can keep in touch and connect with your prospects or your customers? And that brings us all the way through to my last super simple sales secret for setting your day up for sales success. Point number 7. Point number 7 is about rinsing and repeating. And what I mean by that is at the end of the day, that's Pirate Pete telling me I'm at time. You see, you're going to get used to this. This is Pirate Pete. He did his little buzz and he's saying, right, now's the time, but not before I've given you my last tip. So my last tip, point number 7, is all about reflecting on the day. At the end of the day, just take a moment. Reflect back. What worked? What didn't? What did you have enough time to do? What didn't you? What can you do in your plan tomorrow to ensure you maximize on the success that you've had today? So reflect on your day and plan tomorrow accordingly. So they have been my 7 big tips for success. It's been really cool coming out here on LinkedIn for the very first time, and I'm looking forward to doing it again tomorrow. Tomorrow, I am going to be talking all about why you should love that gatekeeper and some sneaky little tricks to make them love you. So make sure you tune in here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning on LinkedIn. I am hugely looking forward to seeing you all. And remember, if you'd like to be reminded next time I go live, then make sure you follow me so that you get the notification. So until tomorrow, have a fantastic day. And this is all to your sales success.